Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today we are not doing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness because we kind of want to talk to ourselves, and also because I think this is gonna be funnier. But if you want my quick 2 cents, it was good. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a good movie, and you can go watch it. Now, so we
It's not
covered
better than
this.
these movies, though. It's worse than these movies.
Is it though? Is it? Okay,
I've not
so
seen it yet, so I can't say, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no, it's probably better.
anyway, but kind of related to Doctor Strange and the Marvel Universe, we covered aside from the animated ones, which we will get to, we covered basically every Spider-Man cinematic series. We did the Raimi trilogy, we did the Amazing Duology,
Hey,
we
we
did the
covered
MCU.
one animated Spider.
Well, not cinematic though. Not cinematic. You want to get technical? I'm
fair,
getting technical.
fair, fair,
Let's,
fair, fair.
mhm. What I mean is the Spider-Verse stuff, which we will get to.
Mhm.
But the point is that we haven't covered the what is now called the Sony's Spider-Man universe, which, as of the time of this recording, doesn't really have Spider-Man in it.
I mean, who likes Spider-Man?
Well, plenty people do in order to make movies about his villains. So, and just for the record, regarding how we are going to go about this, we are going to talk about Morbius first because it recently came out. So I want to get the spoilers part out of the way first, so you could skip it. And after this, we'll talk about both Venom movies, with spoilers. So you can, if you haven't seen Venom, the Venom movies, you can close this video, but we'll give you, Morbius, we're gonna give you a warning. For Venom, will not, because those movies have been out for a while. Like the newest of the two is already a bit more, a bit more than a year, almost a year old. So, so Sony's Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man. So Sony wants to make movies about characters from the Spider-Man mythos. They started with Venom and now they did Morbius. Now, my question to you, Wolf, is do you have any prior experience with these two characters?
I know of Venom, and I think Morbius has some link to Spider-Man and stuff. I don't know quite what. Like my
Uh,
knowledge of Morbius and I know there's like a vampire deal within Spider-Man because I know Blade has a lot to do with Spider-Man from time to time as well, if I'm not mistaken.
both of them are Marvel, so they
Hmm.
cross paths every once in a
Yeah,
while. But
but I don't know
but so the
too
thing is,
much. Venom I know more than like Morbius.
so you're like basically have the population, because if you know Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
you know Venom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a safe bet that if you know Spider-Man, you know Venom.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you know
fair.
Spider-Man, you may not really know Morbius, because I'll be honest with you, I completely forgot Morbius was even a thing when the movie was announced. Like, and even then, he's not. The only thing I can remember maybe seeing him as is the '90s animated show, and that's basically it. Like, the guy Mobius is not a well-known villain. I think even the hardcores would tell you Mobius is a Z-list villain, not just in the Marvel, not just Spider-Man, in the Marvel universe in general. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess what better way to talk about his movie, which came out on April 1st? Woo!
I love that timing, right? I mean, someone somewhere had to. I like being blunt. I've not heard good things about this film from you or others. I should point out.
For the record, yeah, Wolf hasn't seen Morbius, and I don't think he cares. I'm spoiling it for him live.
I hate to say it,
Uh,
but I was unfortunately not able to see it in time for this recording.
mhm.
But
uh,
I will say again, I know enough about it from others talking about it that I've not heard good things, unfortunately. I've heard there's some
So
good things within it, but overall, I've not heard
yeah,
good
but even
things.
those good things aren't necessarily good. They are good
Mm,
in the sense of they are fun, but if they are objectively good, is very debatable.
fair, fair.
Um,
I've also heard
uh,
that too.
yeah, you see. I'm not sure if I'm really spoiling anything for you. You seem to know the gist. You basically saw the movie without seeing the movie. I'm jealous. But basically, for Morbius, I just want to say that it being released on April 1st is amusing to me because it was delayed so many goddamn times. So I think at some point Sony was just like, oh, you know what? Put us on April 1st and call it a day. Who cares anymore?
I feel like someone somewhere had to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone
Somewhere.
somewhere, someone somewhere in the production line or something like knew this isn't good. When should we release
But
it? This day, and they're
and
like,
at
yeah,
this
yeah, that works, and nobody
and the thing
questions it.
is that and the funnier things for me is that a friend of mine got me and him a ticket to see it opening day, which for us was March 31st, but the movie the movie is still a bad joke. But the point he got this was because we're both Spider-Man fans, and he's like, yeah, we need to see it because of the Spider-Man connection. We need to. It's an occupational hazard and everything. And it's like, just because you bought me a ticket, I'm willing to go opening day. But I have no expectations. We even took a selfie of him smiling in front of the movie poster, and I'm looking like I'm about to kill myself. So and just so just for the record, I came in completely ready to not caring. I'm like, I don't know what this is going to be, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be good. He went in hyped, and as soon as the movie ended and the post-credit scenes ended, both of us just looked at each other and went, "What?" It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty bad when both the guy who didn't care and both the guy who was hyped looked at each other and went, "What?" as the movie ended. That is not a good sign, let me tell you. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's do talk about spoilers for Morbius from this point on. Three, two,
Mm-hmm.
one. You've
Mm-hmm.
seen it, yeah. You didn't. Who cares? It's Morbius. Sony didn't care. Why should we? So the thing about Morbius is that I found his backstory interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I found the reason, the research of him, studying bats because of their connections to blood and because of so that it could cure his disease of, his body not getting enough blood.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually clever.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I'm pretty sure I can't even say it's clever for the movie's credit because it's probably taken from the comics. So even that I can't really give the movie credit for. But so there's also, by the way, he's played by Jared Leto. Less said the better.
Mm.
Eh,
Fair.
And actually, something? Jared Leto, a few years ago, did do an impression of me trying to find the movie's humor funny. Ah, 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 ah. Yeah, if you don't know what that means about my opinion regarding his Joker, not good. But back to Morbius. So he does these experiments and then he turns himself into a vampire. Now, another there is so let if you've just seen the trailer and the way his vampire form looks, and also for the villain, whenever they just do those vampire faces, it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I've seen some of that, and I gotta
Like,
say, Blade came out in the '90s, and it had better looking vampires.
and something, you say that, and also the action, when you see them like flying around and beating each other. Yeah, good luck seeing anything. This is probably the worst action sequences I've seen in any movie. Not just any movie. Like,
I mean,
you can.
it goes back to that, hey, we're in black rooms and it's like shaky cam, and
Not
as
even
well as
that.
just, well, it's just like flip back, flip back, flip back, flip back, and just how many cuts can you have in one scene? And it's just, oh God.
And it's not just that, but whenever they move around, they have this like whoosh effect after them, and good luck seeing anything with this whoosh effect. It's the only way you can say this is that because sometimes the movie just goes into like freeze frames where you can just, that's the only time you can see something in this entire movie. Other than I can, I've played some Where's Waldo books, which were easier than figuring out who's doing what in these action sequences.
Oof.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the ending where so Morbius kind of kills the woman he loves by drinking her blood, so that he'll have the power to defeat his childhood friend who turned evil because of his experiment. And that villain is like the best thing about the movie because he's so freaking ridiculous. Like, okay, listen, it's like this is, imagine if Bully Maguire from Spider-Man 3 was the main villain of a movie.
I would love that.
That's what it is. That's why it's so freaking
I mean,
fun.
I'm sold. This movie's 10 out of 10 already.
If only. If fucking only. But yeah, so the thing is, so now Morbius goes to stop him. He stops him by summoning a bunch of bats to take over his powers. And then Morbius just flies into the night. We see that his girlfriend is alive for some reason. There's a close-up on his face.
She's a vampire now, is what I understand.
Yeah, that's the implication. But it's like, it's not explained how it happened because, yeah, we know that he beat her, but it's like, it's like been too long since then, or that he didn't plan on doing it. And then there's just a close-up on his face, cut to credits. Again, it's so what this movie ends, and there's no reason to why anything happened. The only scene which I found believable is that when Morbius is on a way to pick up a cat, and the cat lets this, which sounds like it's saying "oh no," which honestly, what cat would want Jared Leto to pick it up? So yeah, that's the most realistic thing about the movie. And after that, we have the mid and post credit scenes.
I mean, you gotta have them. It's Marvel, man. It's Marvel at this point. We can't not have post credits.
So here's the thing. Have you seen the trailers at least for Morbius?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. It's been a bit, but I've seen it.
But that it was in the advertisement that Michael Keaton reprises the Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, and in this one, the mid-credit scene is Adrian Toomes or Vulture pops up in Morbius's universe, and there's like, hey, well, we're going to work together now, and because me being here involves Spider-Man.
So the mid-credit scene, so again, for the record, this character appears in the marketing, and it's not a thing until the very end, until the mid-credit scene. So imagine if there are people who love the theater, and those exist, and honestly, in this case, I don't blame them because I would want to run away from this theater myself. But why put in the trailers the mid-credit scenes?
I mean,
what?
I go back to someone also released this on April 1st. Someone had to know that people aren't gonna stay. It's not good. We'll just let them know, like, hey, he's in this film. You have a reason to stay now, because they knew. Someone had to have known. I'm sorry. Someone had to have known. You don't release this film on April 1st and then also, spoil your big reveal. Like, that is the big thing for Marvel movies at this point, that we have a mid-credit scene. Like, everyone knows that's a thing for Marvel movies now. And a lot of people only go to Marvel movies for the mid-credit scene. I guarantee you that if you ask a theater full of people, right, what's the most important thing to you here? I bet you'll at least get a couple of them that will say mid-credit scene. Like, you didn't care. The movie is fine. I'm just here for the mid-credit scene. All right, fair enough. I mean,
yeah. So in this case, the mid gets so you know how in Spider-Man No Way Home there was this point where like the multiverse starts breaking and you see like the purple in the sky and everything.
Yep.
So we see like the purple shards in the sky and everything, and then Adrian Toomes just shows up in a jail cell, in this universe, and it's like, and he's like, oh, maybe the food in this joint will be better. And then there's like a news report saying that why was Adrian Toomes, locked up? Why did it happen? He's about to be released. Done. That's the mid-credit scene. Already, you wasted one, which doesn't even make sense because the idea of the spell was to bring all the characters who ended up in the MCU back to their own universe. So what was Adrian Toomes doing there? Like he belongs in the MCU. He was born there. He has a family there. What the fuck?
I mean, I think Marvel's saying, fuck you, Vulture. We don't want you. I think that's what they're saying. Marvel doesn't like Vulture, even though that was probably one of the better Spider-Man villains we've ever seen.
Yeah, what the fuck? But then
they're doing our boy dirty.
Yeah, and then there's this thing like, so then the post-credit scene is Morbius and Vulture meeting up someplace, and Vulture was like, I think me being here has something to do with Spider-Man. Maybe we need like to start a team and then something, and then it's done. And it's like, wait a minute. So, and again, considering Vulture knew that Spider-Man is Peter Parker before the entire shenanigans in No Way Home happened, does the spell, I assume the spell affects him too. So does he know Spider-Man and how he was connected to his daughter? What?
No. Adrian Vulture is special, apparently. Fuck the Vulture, but also he's special. I don't know. You can tell this wasn't very well thought out.
No, it wasn't. But before we move on to Venom, there is a thing I want to discuss because I've read this interview with Morbius' director. And there's something that if there's any takeaway I'm gonna get from this movie, is that he said that he has some low self-esteem, but that he accepts the criticisms, he's willing to listen to the criticisms, but at the same time he says, it's okay you didn't like my movie, but I'm proud of the finished product. And considering all the bullshit he probably had to go through, with Sony notes, Jared Leto notes, and just everything that takes to make a movie. Kudos to the guy for saying, I stand by what I make, but not in an arrogant way, which is like, fuck the fans, or it was for the fans, you people don't know what you're talking about. That is just, I'm proud of what I made, you don't like it, and that's fine. At least I'll give him, I appreciate him for that. That gets nothing but respect from me.
I mean, no, like, I think he's definitely still more of a new director. Like the fellow's only made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 films, including Morbius. He has another one coming out this year. Not even gonna bother with that one. I doubt it'll be good either. But like I think the only one on this list of his films that I would really know would be Safe House, and that one was Like the fellow's not made any, big hit movies, I would say. So yeah. I think this was definitely like a chance for him, and he tried, he gave it his best, and it didn't work.
And don't get me wrong, some of those things out there, oh yeah, that's bad direction, no doubt. But at the same time, something is thinking out of studio notes and reshoots and a lot of visions colliding and not really knowing what the hell to do. Or if people even cared in the first place.
Yeah, I think this definitely comes down to I don't think anyone's interested in this. Like, it's a very.
It feels like they kind of needed another movie to like maybe as part of the deal with Marvel or something, that they just needed that thing out. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
It's possible. Like it definitely, it's not. Go watch any other Marvel films. You'll have a much more enjoyable time. Go watch Venom. Speaking of, you'll have a
Yeah.
much more enjoyable time. But this one is very
So
meh across the board, and that's being generous.
mhm. Couldn't have said it better myself. So enough about Morbius. Let's talk about the Venom movies. And personally, the first one, I have such a love-hate relationship with that movie. It's not even funny how much of a love-hate relationship I have with it. But the second one I love. What about?
I am the same way, kind of. Like the first film, there's some good stuff here. You've got me to laugh a little bit here or there, but meh. Then the second one came along, and they really leaned hard into what I felt was the strengths of the first one, and I enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah,
I think I think the
that's
second
exactly
film,
what I
yeah,
said. Because I kind of jokingly said that, obviously the best part about the first movie was the Eddie Brock and Venom interactions with each other,
yeah, yeah.
and the second movie makes it the focus, and it's great. I love these two interacting.
Yeah,
It's
the more you
even
have Venom interacting with Eddie Brock and just some of the other characters, the more enjoyable the film is. And the first film doesn't give you enough of that. The second film gives you a lot of that, and it's just great because that is the
and I
film's
think
strength.
and it is kind of walking into this thing that, because in the first movie you have to establish Venom up, you have to establish, this the
Is it
symbiote
common for
coming.
Venom to have a voice himself? Like, as
Yeah.
someone who's new to comics, like the only interaction I've
um
really had with Venom is Bully Maguire. A great interaction with
um
a great introduction to Venom, I'm sure.
yeah.
So is
um
it common for Venom himself to have like a voice and a personality and a character? Because that one was new to me, and I
not
thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah, so this is something that they have to play off of because,
Mm.
obviously, so obviously in the comics, Spider-Man for a really long time, I think like 2 years in our time, he had that black suit on, and there were a lot of stories taking place with that black suit. Like one of the most famous ones, Craven's Last Hunt, is is with Peter having the black suit. So
Hmm.
that was a thing for a long while. And after this, there was this entire thing of like, Peter, got rid of the black suit. It was attached to Eddie Brock, who hates Peter. And so, in that sense, there's, when Eddie is interacting with the symbiote does kind of tell him, like, listen, we are like, we are both hurt by the same person. We are Venom. And that's the kind of point where like the suit kind of has this voice of its own. But
Mm.
any other time, it's one of those, they're talking with they're saying like, we are we are, we are Venom, we are gonna do this and that. This is something that is kind of unique to this incarnation, that Venom is like speaking for himself
It
and
has
Eddie
more
is
of a.
speaking for.
I think that serves it a lot better, though, in my opinion. I think giving Venom more of a personality and making him this like
Yeah,
terrible
but
man baby a little bit, it works. It makes the character way
because
more fun, I think.
that's the other thing, that's the other thing that he said, he does have this, and the reason, I think the reason they change it, and it's a change that's working, is because in this, obviously, the symbiote doesn't have the time it spent with Peter. It's an entity,
Hmm.
and they do kind of touch upon in the comic where there's a planet of symbiotes, and even then they kind of said that the Venom symbiote is kind of an outcast. They even referenced it in the best line ever written by any writer.
I'm
Do
kind
you
of a
know what
loser,
line
like you. I know. I know.
yeah, no, on my planet I am kind of a loser like you.
I just.
That
Oh, that first movie was so stupid. I'm sorry. I love how, hey, we were going to destroy the planet. I was all on board for it, but I don't want to anymore. And Eddie's just like, cut the shit. What changed? You changed my mind, Eddie. And it's like,
so we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there because I have something to say regarding it. And so with that said, yeah. So so one of the best parts about the Venom movies, thank goodness, is Venom himself and his interactions with Eddie in general, and everyone around him. And the other thing I like is that I'm not sure if you played the Spider-Man PS1 game. It was also on N64 and everything, but like they took the Venom from that game, and it is glorious, glorious. Like for the record, there's a point in the game where Spidey and Spidey and Venom need to like go to some office and like search for something on the computer. So Venom goes, "Does this mean we get to surf the web?"
Boo.
Same character. No, it's not boo.
I know.
But like, don't you see the movie Venom saying something like that?
Oh yes, absolutely, 100%. This is that character. And I enjoy that character for this. Like, you can tell, I think, the first movie, it feels like both Venom movies really are trying to be a little like the Deadpool movie, but different, right? And
Yeah.
I think the first one failed miserably in that regard. I think the second one succeeds a lot more, though, in being like that film and being kind of self-referential and being more jokey and more comedy driven, right? But also having its own personality too.
I'll tell you what, there is the story that the first movie was initially going to be an R-rated film, and at some point they lowered it to PG-13. They say it's because they wanted to, make it less of a clash if they'll ever cross it over with the PG-13 Spider-Man films. But let's be honest, it's because they said that if the film would be rated R, the box office would be shit. So
yeah.
But
what would you add in this that would make it R-rated that you really need in this film?
And like. Let's say I heard
there's
that a
nothing.
Lot was,
there is nothing they could.
I
mean, fair enough, but I don't feel like there's anything an R rating would add to this film that I would want to see. Right? Like those aren't cuts I probably want to see. Right? Those aren't cuts I care about.
Regardless, though, you can tell that again. This is a movie, in a sense, kind of like with Morbius, but in here it worked for its benefit in some weird way. That a lot was changed later on into production, and they needed to like incorporate those changes to make it more comedic. Because I'm willing to bet that some of the stuff that Venom says in Eddie's head, they added in post. I am willing to bet.
Yeah, I would agree.
There's this scene which you probably know what I'm talking about, and you probably love this scene as well, when they go to the office of like Eddie's former boss, and Venom's like, "What do you say? We jump?" And then Eddie takes the elevator, and you just hear him go, "Pussy." Like,
that's true.
I'm willing to bet that like stuff like this was added in post. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then after reviews came in and audience reaction and stuff, for the sequel they said, "Okay, wait, what did people like about the first one? The Venom and Eddie interacting. So let's focus on that. People said that we're kind of like unironically the best romantic comedy ever. Let's play with this. Let's go all the way. Let's actually make it the Odd Couple." And it's funny. It's working in the second one. I don't care what people say. It's hilarious.
No, I thought it's dumb, but it's fun dumb, right? It's absolutely enjoyable. Like you literally get the second film where Venom demands Eddie gives him an apology before he'll help him out in stopping the bad guy in the second film, and it's an entire thing where Eddie has to just continue to try and apologize to Venom before Venom will accept it, and he just has to get more and more and more of an apology, and then finally Venom and Eddie quote unquote hug.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and like again, this is true for both movies, but like Tom Hardy is like giving his freaking all to these movies,
no, I
to
thought he was
this
great as
role.
Eddie. I think he's great.
Yeah, there's this scene in the second one where after the entire incident with Cletus, and Venom is like trying to apologize, and it's like I didn't mean to, but and he tells him you did it. You just went I don't know. Blah, blah. He does this thing with the hand. He goes blah, blah. It's like he's amazing. I love him. And in terms of comedy, in slapstick too, like in the first one, there's when he's looking at the mirror and then he hears like the Eddie, and he flies back and he has this, and whenever like I also like when Venom does things for him, his body reacts to it. It's not just Tom Hardy standing and there's CGI around him. He's actually responsive to the symbiote coming out of him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also cool. And so again, there's like a lot of attention to detail in these movies, and in the first one, and it's funny and everything. But then when you look at the first one, so much missed potential. Like again, the villain fucking sucks. The villain in the first one sucks.
Yeah. It's just it's basically we're back with another rich dude in a suit.
Another businessman who is evil because.
And I swear, Marvel has so many evil businessmen. It is like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we have a lot of evil businessmen in the real world, but I mean, you're superheroes. You have some supervillains.
But then also from all the Venom, from like all the symbiotes, like I'm glad that actually they didn't use Carnage in the first movie. Read it kinda, and that we saved him for a sequel, but also like Riot, of all the symbiotes we're gonna go with Riot, really? That's the one. And the final fight itself in general is really hard to see. Like they are both.
Yeah, this film I noticed suffered from the same problem you talked about with Morbius, and I feel like the second one was a little bit better, but still had this issue where it's just they just so many cuts. It's dark in the areas they're fighting in, and you can't keep up with everything.
But at least with Carnage, he's red, so you can kind of make it out.
Yeah, you can see more, but with the first film, it was really bad. Like the final fight you get up leading towards the rocket, it's just a lot of whoosh, whoosh, cut, whoosh, whoosh, cut, and it's just
there is actually one part in I like, and it's when Riot is about to absorb, the Venom symbiote, and Eddie on his own will fuses with Venom in order to save him. Which it's a quick moment. And we know already know that Eddie cares about Venom just as much as Venom cares about Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, we have this part. We have this like this moment after the motorcycle chase scene, which is actually pretty cool. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so Venom takes over at his, we see him in his glory and everything. He runs away, and then actually this is an addition I like, that Venom can just be like a head coming out of Eddie. That I kind of like that visual.
Yeah.
But they thought. By the way, I thought that there was a night I saw this movie with two friends, and when that happened, one of the friends just went kiss, kiss, kiss.
Mm-hmm.
No reaction. Okay. Moving on. So, so we have this part, and Venom is like, "You are going to help me take over this planet because you are mine now. We are a good match." Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Okay, but first of all, let me do something." So they go to where Eddie used to walk, and and then like Venom is like, it's peaceful. This one is actually kind of pretty. I'm gonna be sorry for it too. I'm gonna be sad that it has to go like that. And then afterward, we get another action sequence with the soldiers, which I actually also kind of like. Again, you don't really see much in it, but it works better there because it plays into like the whole what Venom is.
Yeah.
And then Venom just decides that he kind of likes Eddie, that he kind of likes Anne, and he tells Eddie, you won't get a chance to apologize. This thing care? Why does this thing care about Eddie's relationship issues?
Venom's the best wingman, apparently.
Yeah, he is.
Venom is the best and worst wingman.
I am
all
not
at the
saying
same time.
he's not. I'm not saying he's not. It's just that we went from 0 to 100.
I gotta admit, though, I loved Reed Scott as Den. His Eddie's ex's new boyfriend. I loved
get
it.
to that, but then like after this, there was just this entire thing where they're separated for a bit, and then like Anne transfers Venom back to Eddie. And then it's like Eddie told him, like, cut the bullshit. What made you change your mind about saving the planet? And he goes, you did, Eddie. And it's like, when? When did this happen?
It was so dumb.
It's so, again, it feels like it's so freaking, but I kind of love it for that reason.
Oh no, it's so again. I come back to it. It's that fun kind of dumb. Like it is so stupid. It does not make any sense. It does not work, but you still enjoy it, right? Because of it. Not in spite of it, but because it's just so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I would honestly recommend, especially the first Venom movie, if you're coming in here like, oh, I'm gonna get no, you're not gonna get a good story. You're gonna get some pretty good and enjoyable character moments and some laughs here or there, and that's all you should come in expecting from these movies.
I'm not sure. I don't remember who said it because a lot of people kind of quoted it, and I want to ask for your opinion. Because people said that this movie feels like it's stuck somewhere in the mid 2000s. Do you think it would have been better if it was released then, before we had like the MCU and all of the Dark Knight and everything? If it was released before,
yeah, I would actually, I would think so, because the first Venom movie, it's not, we've had better superhero story films that tell much better stories, right, with more interesting and more enjoyable characters. I still think this is it's fun, and you can get some fun character moments from it, but you're not going to get anything that's deep or super interesting here. It's fun. Like, that's really all I think you can expect from it, is that it's fun. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be anything more. It doesn't need to be anything more. But unfortunately for it, we've had stuff that has been that more. We've had all of the Marvel films. We've had the Nolan North Batman films. We've had so many other films that have like really taken superhero films and done something and done a lot more with them, right? This doesn't. But that's okay. It doesn't need to. But it does hurt it in a lot of people's eyes, I'm sure.
Yeah, because again, when I look at the story, and considering the focus of the story is, the growing friendship between Eddie and Venom, it goes from 0 to 100 and it's like, wait, what? How? Why? Huh? Okay, sure, movie, whatever.
I mean, it works for this film, but I believe it a lot more in the second film.
Yeah, here's the thing, that it works, but it works on paper, but it doesn't really work as an execution. Because if you're going to talk literally, it doesn't work. Okay, objectively,
no,
it is a bad friendship story, but it's saved by the laughs and the interactions they have with each other, and just the sheer comedy value that it has. It works as that, kinda. It's so weird. You see what I mean? That I have
I absolutely get you, right? Like, this movie, it's not good per se. It doesn't really work per se, but it's saved by the strength of, honestly, the actors giving it their all and a lot of the interaction between a lot of the actors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Which is why I come
So,
back to, I loved Dan. This dude is
yeah.
like so understanding. He is way too good for this world. Like, you're her new boyfriend and you're like, yo, and I know you're her ex, but hey, there's something wrong with you. Let's take you, like, I'm a doctor. Let me see what's wrong with you. Let me do all these tests for you. Oh shit, there's an alien thing now. What the fuck? But I'm still understanding. I still, I'm there for my girlfriend. Like, this dude is too good for this world.
Yeah.
And I love him for it. He is too nice.
One totally agree. And two, I also like that, he's not just a jerk character, because in a movie like this, you would have made him the jerk or maybe even the villain. But no, he's like you said, he's a legit good guy who wants to help Eddie out. He knows that Anne has, nothing to do with Eddie romantically anymore. He just wants to help this guy who, crashed into a restaurant and just started, eating lobsters raw and everything.
I love it. I mean, he's just like, again, like I guess it's kind of refreshing because, again, like you said, right? Always movies do this, and it's always I'm jealous now because he's your ex and you and your ex are gonna get back to. No, it's she's done with her ex, and he's like, yeah, I'm alright with that. You want to talk with him? Cool. I don't care. You want to be friends with him? Cool. I don't care.
On that note, the big disappointment, and I'm saying this jokingly, but it was a disappointment for me. Venom possesses a dog, and this thing is not. This is like 5 seconds of screen time. It's like, I want more dog Venom. I want more Venom as a dog.
I loved how you just see the dog sitting there, blink, and you see like the Venom eyes, and Michelle Williams as Anne is just staring at the dog, like, and then it just cuts black, and it's like, oh god, so bad.
Yeah, but again, but something. Credit, as much as this film is a mess, credit that they managed to kind of get She-Venom into this in a way that kind of makes sense, and it's not just fancy. There's a reason for it to happen.
Agreed. I thought it was great. I thought it looked good.
Yeah.
And I loved how she's like, God, I kind of enjoyed it. The power, right? It's fun. And Eddie's just like, yeah.
And then the sequel, she goes like, I'm not doing this again. Well, maybe, I don't know. It's kind of fun, really.
I love that.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say about the first one. Let me think if there's maybe we'll get back to this later. The one thing I will say, moving into Let There Be Carnage, Mrs. Chen is just got an upgrade for no reason, but I loved it. Like that scene, you can tell the actress is just having the time of her life when Venom possesses her.
Oh yeah.
And she's talking, and you see this, you hear this voice coming out of this woman, and then there's the point where she goes, "Nobody likes you, Dan."
I did love that. That was indeed very fun.
And there's like, when I like all that Anne kind of flirts with him to kind of get him to save it, and then he swoons. He kind of makes us swoon, and then he goes, "I am." It's so good. It's hilarious.
I guess we're talking about Let There Be Carnage now.
Yeah, I segued into it. Didn't you notice?
Okay, no, I did not notice that. I'm sorry. I pay attention to my co-host. I don't.
Notice.
I mean, yeah, like Let There Be Carnage, right? We've already said it. I'll say it again. They leaned heavy into the character interaction. They leaned heavy into letting Venom like just have as much interaction with all the different characters as possible, and it's so much more fun in my opinion because of that. I from what I understand, Let There Be Carnage is like viewed as the worst of the two films. Like it seems to be rated less, I think. or is
I
it?
actually held the opposite.
Oh,
That
I don't know.
that people didn't grade it well or something. But most people seem to agree that this is better.
Oh,
From
okay.
what I've
I do not
like,
know.
many people still said it's not good, and to these people I say grow a sense of humor. But overall, I think people seem to kind of agree that this is the better one of the two.
Hmm.
The one thing I did see people say is that there isn't enough carnage, and I kind of get what they mean. It's not a problem for because whenever we do get carnage, he looks great. Everything that surrounding him is great,
Hmm.
but we don't see for something called Let There Be Carnage. There isn't much carnage.
You
At
don't
least
really
there
get him
isn't.
until the last third, and even then, it's really
At
more
least
centered towards the
at least there
last
isn't.
like quarter.
Yeah, at least it's one of those things that you don't see a lot of Venom fighting him. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
Because like the scene where he escapes from prison, that's great. That's a great carnage moment. This is how if I had to do this is how I would have done Carnage's introduction.
Mm.
But in terms of letting Venom actually fight him, that's only decline.
But the problem with that though is you come back to the first film's strength was the character interaction. If you have more fights, you get less character interaction. Would this film be as good if it had more fights? Even if it was with Carnage,
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
don't get me
Well,
wrong,
I
I
guess
think the fight in here with Carnage was great and it served well, but I don't know if more would have served the film better or if, the amount it has
I
served it
think
fine.
again, it comes down to kind of what you're expecting of the film and
Or
what
what
the
you're
film
after,
actually
yeah.
gave you.
Yeah, and what you
Yeah,
personally like and enjoy.
because I think it also applies to both of those movies that that people kind of come in when they hear Venom, they come in with some sort of an expectation. And I am fully aware that these movies aren't necessarily what the first thing you'll have in mind when you're going into a Venom
Mm.
movie. But just because it's not the first thing that comes to mind doesn't mean it can be fun in its own way. And to play the Spider-Man PS1 game, again, Venom can be goofy. Just saying. I think even in the comics and some of the shows, he has some ridiculous moments. It's not,
Again, I think you need an over the top Venom. I think you need Venom because it's more fun that way. Venom, who's just a dick and is a serious dick at that, it's not as enjoyable because no one wants that. You need the one who's like, yeah, I'm an asshole, but I'm also a fun asshole. That gets people to enjoy you more, right?
Because again, look at That'll Be Carnage, where they are just in this apartment, and Venom wants to go out there and eat bad guys because Eddie promised him that he could do that. But at the same time, Eddie also doesn't want any problems after the entire thing in the first movie. That they are kind of, that the police and the FBI are kind of have their eyes on him.
Mm-hmm.
So so he doesn't want to draw any attention suddenly when he doesn't want to take the chances. And he tells Venom like, "Yeah, I told you we can do this, and this is why you have Snooki." And it's like, really, you think this is gonna help him?
He also has the chick. He's like, I can't eat those two. Sonny and Cher. Yeah. It's so stupid, but it's so funny.
And then that there's this one thing he needs to survive, which is whatever you say it, which is only in brains and chocolate. And there's like chickens have brains. Especially disagree, but then they go and eat chickens anyway.
I also love the scene where, I mentioned it before, where you have Venom is inside of Anne again, right? And Eddie's trying to apologize and be sincere, and Anne's just continuing to tell him like, no, you gotta try more, gotta do more.
Yeah.
He's thinking about it. Okay, and then he goes over to talk to Dan, and Dan's like, I got it, don't worry, buddy. And Venom's like, slap.
Yeah, not sorry. And And then in the end, he's like, "Dan, take care. I always liked you. You're cool."
And then even after that, still says we didn't really need him though. I think he was kind of a hindrance, but I still like him. And it's like, God, I love this asshole.
Another part, when they get to the church and Venom is kind of, and it's like, "Oh God, this is the red one. No, no, nope, we're living. We didn't really like him anyway. Bye, no more."
I like how
And then
the second Carnage calls him father. He's like, nope, 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 nope.
the other day, "Time to die, father." And then the priest is like, "Oh no," and said, "Not you, father. You, father."
Oh yeah, that was also great. I love that Carnage. Like
Listen,
again, I love that they had Carnage in on the joke too.
which, by the way, at that moment, like not just that moment in general, but like my theater was howling
Oh,
at
I can
that
imagine.
moment.
I can
That was.
imagine.
Mhm. So I'm trying to think about other, but yeah, that's actually something they didn't really explain what is so outlandish about the red symbiote. I know that there's some sort of an explanation in the comic. I don't remember, but like, what's the context here?
He's red.
Mm, I guess. And then I also like, "Time to die. That's the spirit. I mean, us. We are going to die." And that's another thing that I like that they talk about, and it's kind of interesting when you go into this movie in a bit more deeply. That they talk in the first movie about Venom and Eddie are actually a match, and they don't really do anything with that. It's just a matter of they're a match. They work for each other. And on the surface, Cletus and Carnage seem to be a match too, because they're both killers.
Mhm.
But then when you really get down to it, Cletus and Carnage want two different things, and they are really objecting to each other, especially when it comes to Shriek. So they are not really a match, but when they see it, even if Venom and Eddie disagree, they always find each other. They always come back to each other. I think this movie, again, kind of talking about things that were established in the first one and coming back to be established better here, their match, I felt, was actually touched upon in a better way this one, in actually showing it too.
Mhm. Agreed.
We didn't really talk about Cletus and actually.
I mean,
So
I liked
what?
Woody Harrelson as Cletus. I think he did a good job, but there's not
Yeah.
too much there to say. It's not exactly a character that is given
Let's
a
say
lot of time.
it's not an amazing performance, but it got the job done.
Like
You can't
I
say.
think he he does well enough. Like you're supposed to hate him, and he does well enough at getting that part across, right?
Yeah. I also like his reactions, that he can go over the top, and then like when after Eddie, Venom attacks him and like he bites him, and then he goes like, "Oh, I tasted blood before, and that is not it." That's like he reads those lines well. It's just
Mhm.
that I don't think he's necessarily given material to work beyond that.
Yeah, I would agree.
But for one he does it well, and
Yeah.
apparently also like Venom Battle Be Carnage was directed by Andy Serkis. Wait, to those who didn't know, Andy
You want to say
Serkis,
that one? Oh, Andy Serkis. Okay.
yeah, Andy Serkis, Gollum, and also the Planet of the Apes trilogy that started in 2011. So so there was actually a story that Woody Harrelson told them, Andy Serkis, "Listen, can you do Carnage's voice? I don't think I could do it," but Andy Serkis actually guided them on how to nail that voice. So, obviously it's
You're breaking up somewhat on
oh,
my end.
really.
Yeah.
Let me just a second here. Am I clear now?
You're getting there. It seems like you're better now. We'll keep going and see. But you were just breaking up before. So you were talking about how apparently Woody Harrelson couldn't do Carnage's voice, and Andy Serkis
He
taught him how.
told No, he told him he told Andy Serkis, listen, I don't think I can do it, but Andy Serkis kind of guided him throughout the process. And even though you can obviously tell the voices edited, like Tom Hardy's voices edited for Venom, it's still sounding great. Like they found
I
a
thought it
good
was
result. And yeah, that Shriek again for a character that's basically plot a plot MacGuffin. She was okay.
Yeah, I saw nothing wrong with her. The same with who plays the cop?
I don't remember what the actor's name is, but
I don't either.
they seem to set him up to be the villain in the next one because
or like he's definitely he's definitely got another symbiote. It seems. I think some people were talking about how he might be like Toxin or something like that, like Agent Toxic or something like that.
Yeah, it seems to be the most the biggest possibility. I think they also talked about if they're gonna do a third one, this is gonna be the villain. So we have that, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. As we talked about Dan, I think we didn't really talk about Anne, but honestly, again, she's there, she's doing her part well, and it's a movie that doesn't really have anything amazing in it, but like the interactions and the moments are working so well because it's funny.
Again, I agree. I think they have a lot of strong characters in this film, and in both of these films, really, and it's really great that they tried to focus on them and not anything else. Again, the stories, it's better than the first one, but it's still fairly meh overall, I think. There's nothing really to write home about in regards to, you know, Venom versus a serial killer. And then we add in like, oh, there's, you know, Shriek who basically has the power of a banshee. I'm not going to explain that or talk about that whatsoever at all.
The one thing I will give there, I want to bring up regarding Cletus is when he writes Eddie that message where he wants to see him on the day of his execution, and you see like the flashback that's done like in a drawing kind of way.
Oh yeah, I like that. That was really good.
That was really cool. That was really cool. I was looking for like a flashback with artistic animation styles, so that was a good way to show that. And eventually we get to the ending. By the way, so here's my question for you: do you know what did you think about the name The Little Protector?
The main what now?
The Little Protector, the name that Venom keeps pushing down Eddie's throat.
It fits this movie.
That's the thing that the first one in any case, and to an extent this one too, they are based on a story about Venom in the comics called The Little Protector, which he actually was in San Francisco as a deal with Spider-Man that he won't bother Spider-Man anymore. Oh, I don't remember the details, but that's the basic gist. So, and the reason Eddie tells them, please, no, it's so 80s, it's because that plot came out in the 80s.
So it's a little bit of self-referential humor.
Yeah.
That you'll only get if you're a fan. See, again, like, I enjoy stuff like that. I think that's really clever and really funny. And if you know the nod, you're like, hey, and you and the director and the writers can be like, hey, back and forth.
And then, but they also walk it in because, Eddie is really against that name. But then they have this like amazing Spider-Man number 33 reference for whatever reason, where they leave those rebels there and go, we are the Little Protector. And then when they're on the beach there, Eddie says every place that needs a little protector, and Venom is like, oh, you actually meant it. So, cool. And mid-credit scene, I guess. I was so hyped. I was so freaking hyped, and for what?
I
For
mean,
what?
I think it's better that they didn't have Venom interacting with Tom Holland, Peter Parker yet, right? Not in No Way Home. I don't think it really would have worked there. I don't think it really would have fit into that point.
I don't necessarily say, put them in No Way Home, but like at least they tease that he's now in the MCU, and even though again he doesn't have the Spider-Man connection that we know, at least just the idea of these two interactions fighting, that we're gonna get a Venom versus Spider-Man fight on the big screen, which is not Spider-Man 3, because fuck Topher Grace. Then it's
He
about to happen,
tried. The poor
and
guy
then
tried.
and he failed. What can you do?
Fair, fair.
And
He
then,
did fail.
and then you have the mid credits in No Way Home. It's like, oh god, here he is, and it's like, nope. Like he got to the MCU, got drunk, and left.
Well,
Basically.
he left a bit of the symbiote behind, so you'll
Yeah.
get your Venom Spider-Man one day.
Oh yeah, I know. I know that they basically just kind of did it probably to just get the symbiote into the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, did you really need to tease that like that? Maybe if it were maybe if you could have just
Did it get you to see No Way Home that much more?
I would have seen No Way Home anyway.
But did this make you just that little bit more excited for No Way Home?
Not necessarily No Way Home, but the possibility that it's going to happen.
It did its job, I suppose.
Like just the possibility that we get to see Tom Spider-Man and Tom Venom fighting each other, because there were so many talks about it. So it's like it was right there, and it's like again, I was so excited to see him in No Way Home in this post-credit scene, and then it's like nope, the symbiote is there, but nope. Nope. We'll see what we'll do with it. We're not sure ourselves. And honestly, after Morbius, I don't think that Sony knows what they're doing, but who knows? They made Into the Spider-Verse, and that sequel is now delayed. So we'll see.
I mean, Sony's can be a mixed bag sometimes. Like, sometimes they get it and they get it right. And then sometimes they don't get it and they really don't get it.
Yeah,
it's very much, there's not a lot of middle ground with Sony, unfortunately. It's either one or the other. Either they get it and they really get it, or they just don't.
Actually, if I kind of disagree with you there. I think they are the perfect example of in the middle, because they don't really go up and down. Sometimes they're doing great and sometimes they're doing not great.
I mean, that's fair. Like it's very much a consistent up down, right? But it's again, it comes back to either it's going to be really great or it's just not. And there's
because I'll tell you what, the first Venom movie, we talked about this just now, you could feel the studio notes. You could feel that there are just a bunch of studio notes that we need to get something with this off the ground, because otherwise, we already kind of lost Spider-Man to Marvel, and if we're gonna fuck up with this, we are gonna get, they're gonna get Venom too. I think
it's weird though, because they still have Deadpool and they did great with Deadpool, but they've decided to just do nothing since.
Deadpool is Fox. That's the X-Men.
True, and Disney now owns that, so never mind. I take it back.
Wrong.
That's why we've not gotten anything else with Deadpool.
No, actually, Deadpool 3 is in the works. It's just that people are talking on and off about it. Apparently, it's still gonna be R. It may not be R. People are like really all over the place with that one. I don't even know anymore.
I have no hope for Deadpool anymore. It's Disney. No. I'm sorry.
Well, let's say like this. I want to believe that they know what works, and despite being R-rated, Deadpool 1 and 2 made a lot of money.
This is true.
There's no way to mess up with something with a hose that proves it can work.
Oh, there's a lot of ways to mess up.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're not gonna say, oh, we need to make it PG-13 for more people to see it. No, Deadpool made a plenty of money just being R-rated. So I don't see a reason why. And I think even after it wasn't an R, right? But considering Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness really pushed the PG-13 rating, then what you can do with it, the R-rated MCU movies are probably in the future.
I do
For
have to
better.
ask, do you think you
Yeah.
would have gotten, like, sorry to interrupt and change the subject so suddenly, but do you think you
Sure.
would have gotten a Venom movie like this out of Disney? Do you think you would have gotten a
As
good Venom movie out of Disney?
okay, for the sake of the argument, let's say if I would have gotten both of those movies as they are from Disney,
Mm-hmm.
I'd, something, Let There Be Carnage, maybe. Let There Be Carnage, I could see coming from Disney.
Mm.
I could see them. The first one, something, with a lot of those changes and a lot of the stuff that kind of ends up both harming and working in favor for that movie. Maybe. Because again,
Okay.
I keep going back to what the first two movie was supposed to be and how they had to walk around that. Disney wouldn't necessarily have greenlit an R-rated movie from the get-go. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
At least not at the time in which this was announced, which was 2016. So no, but Let It Be Carnage, I can see it walking the same way as it did right now.
That's fair.
Now, when it comes to what's the future, we know Venom 3 is in the works. We know that there's going to be another Venom.
Okay.
Yeah, we know that there's going to be another Venom movie. Another Morbius. Let's see. Ooh, it's Joker Clark. Of course they're gonna make a Morbius sequel. What?
Listen, Morbius is the most popular Marvel movie ever released so far, HC.
So much that a week later it was dethroned by Sonic the goddamn Hedgehog.
God, looking at the budget for Morbius and in the box office, that movie bombed hard. Still made its money back, but yeesh, compare that to Venom, right?
Yeah, consider what was the budget for it even? I don't.
For Morbius, it was about 75 million. It looks like.
So the fact it only after like a month plus in theater just barely made it back.
No, it made it back off of the box office, it looks like, but not a lot. Like, it's just barely.
But just for the sake that it barely made the budget back worldwide, not even in America alone, worldwide, is not freaking good. And because 75 million, like, let's say that I think for the sake of comparison, Doctor Strange made more of that in a day.
Let's see.
Because I know the entire weekend Doctor Strange made 500 million. So good chance as it passed that in just one day from the previous movie. You're actually checking?
Yeah, I'm curious. I will admit, this is.
And again,
I mean, just looking at the newest one, right?
Yeah.
That it had a higher budget, $200 million budget, but it's still doubled in box office alone, and that's just in the US so far, right? Because that's just released.
And again, keep in mind that Sonic 2 made the entire budget of Morbius in just one weekend in America alone.
I mean, that's because Sonic 2 is actually a fun movie. And I'm the one saying that. I'm the one saying that.
You see, I'm not biased. I'm not biased towards Sonic the Hedgehog. So basically, something messed up with Morbius big time.
Yeah, I want to hope, right, that they can come back to that drawing board and maybe do something more with it, right? Maybe if you do the thing with him and Vulture, you can do something more there
that's
and
another thing.
have something a lot of
What?
fun. But
Yeah, but that's the thing. What can they do with it? Because for let's say, from what I know about Sony's plans, so for one, you have Venom 3 coming.
mhm,
But now they also said they want to make a movie about Madam Web.
I have no clue who that is.
She's another character in the multiverse of Spider-Man.
Ah,
She's responsible for transporting people. She's kind of watching all the timelines and stuff.
oh,
So
her, yes, okay.
yeah, she in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, she was voiced by Stan Lee's wife.
Hmm,
And so they do
neat.
this, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you remember, but the post-credit scene for the first Venom movie is a tease to Into the Spider-Verse. So
Huh.
they still have to live up to that connection in some way. And so what they gonna do with that? Because Across the Spider-Verse was delayed to next year. It was supposed to come out in a few months, but it's now coming out in 2023.
How would you do that?
So
Like, would you just like Into the Spider-Verse as live action for a bit or something? I don't
well,
even
they just
know.
I don't know as well because when they show that sneak peek at the end of Venom, they show like a meanwhile in another universe, and then it just plays the two scenes, and because the two scenes they play, one is like when Miles escapes the Prowler after he found out that the Prowler is his uncle, and then the next scene right after is him when he sees like Peter B. Parker, and they are getting dragged on by the train. So like what even? And saying this as someone who loves Into the Spider-Verse to death, what even is this preview?
I I don't know if doing all this multiverse stuff was the wisest decision. Maybe they can pull it off, but it's just there's so many, like, it's not just Disney, right? It's not just the Marvel stuff now. It's
Because
Sony
I didn't
stuff. It's
say
all this other stuff they're trying to mix in with it to make work, and it's just I don't know if they're going to be able to pull this off in the way they hope. I hope they
again
do. It'll be interesting to see,
because
but
I hope so, because again, Into the Spider-Verse did it so well, and this honest, and
mm-hmm.
it kind of honestly did it first,
I mean,
compared
No
to
Way
everything
Home
else.
did it well too, but in a different way,
Yeah,
right?
but that's exactly the same thing. People now look at when you say multiverse, then people look at No Way Home and strange. But Into the Spider-Verse kind of did this before, and I'm not saying necessarily who did this better or not, because both of them took different
I
approaches
mean,
with
yeah,
this.
absolutely. Like they both do
But
it well in their own ways, I think, right?
mhm. Yeah, but with that said, it's you say I think both companies are kind of just really high up into this topic because the copyrights are it now, and
Mm.
I'm not sure. I think it's not necessarily that if they need to do it or not, but like if they're doing too much too fast.
Mm. Is
And
that
honestly, the thing they did with Venom honestly just shows that it was kind of that maybe it was too much too fast. If I'm honest with you.
mm, I'd agree. I think yeah, it's gonna be one of those things time will tell, but it
Hmm.
doesn't leave a lot of oh yeah, I'm this is gonna be good, right? There's not a lot of room for that. There's a lot of I feel like there's a lot more room for I just don't know, and it would
Yeah.
worry me personally if I was involved
Hmm.
and looking to make money. But again, maybe these people know and are able to understand a lot better than I am exactly what they're doing because they have more information than I do, right? So
I want to hope that they do
yeah,
know what they're
absolutely. I
doing, because
hope the best for it,
because
but I
as
personally,
much because let's say I wasn't nice to Morbius in this podcast, and I am not nice to it whenever I'm talking about it to friends and everything. But at the same time, I didn't want it to fail. I
no,
don't
like
want them to just. to just drop it. I want to see if they can actually make it work.
Absolutely,
But at the
right?
same, but for that, they actually need to show that they are thinking about it.
Like there is no universe, right, where we come on here and like we want to see a movie do bad. No, or a show or anything, right? You always want these things to succeed because you came to watch them, right? You want them to be good and enjoyable. When they're not, it's frustrating because you can sit there and see like there's potential here. There is the ability to make something good and you just didn't succeed at this time. I hope you can succeed at it the next time, but this one personally didn't work for whatever the reasons may be, right? But the problem with that is, though, is that once you have that first bad outlook, it does reflect poorly on the future because you've already made these mistakes. Can you learn from them? I hope so. But I've looked at the past and seen where other companies and other people have come and made similar mistakes and didn't learn. I hope you can, but will you? You have to prove that now, right? The faith has been shaken, I guess you would say.
They need to show they can do it because, again, I'm not. That's also something to bring up in the grand scheme of things. I'm not entirely sure what the plan is for Spider-Man in general anymore.
I mean,
Within
I
this,
know they've said, or Tom Holland's came out and said, right, that he just does not want to do it for much longer, right?
he said something regarding that, but then again, he's also kind of like, well, people are talking, nothing is certain for now.
And I make a
But
lot of money being Spider-Man.
and not just that, not you see, it's not just that, but it's also the matter of, not just in terms of money, but also that we have, we kind of have this thing which is called, which is called the Sony Marvel deal.
Yeah.
And because we know that after Far From Home there was a bit of a shake-up and people didn't know what's gonna happen, and then they managed to think up a new deal. And they keep saying that there's not gonna be another breakup, separation anxiety as they call it, after No Way Home. But what does this entail? Like again, Tom Holland says that he may, he says at least that he doesn't want to keep playing Spider-Man into his 30s, and right now he's like 27. So are they just gonna put in, kind of try and build up Miles Morales now, or something else? And I think that's the problem, that a lot of it is up in the air and we don't know. We don't have enough hints.
This is true, right? And it's just going to come down to what they do, and whatever that might be, will the switchover be enough to tide people over and be like, okay, yeah, we're for this, we enjoy this, right?
Basically. So whatever it is, I guess we'll be able to talk about it once we know more.
Indeed.
So until we know more, that's it for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts about the Venom movies and Morbius, and why is Morbius not good and the Venom movies are actually really fun? You can.
I think you mean Morbius is better than Spider-Man. Why is it better than Spider-Man?
No, I was quite clear about what I said, but you can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C, and on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
And we will talk to you all next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.